By looking at the ETFs, we can quickly see where there is strength, but also where there is weakness, areas to concentrate on for putting money in, areas to avoid. So let's take it from the top. And it also is a great way to measure themes. Up at the top left on each chart, it tells you what the ETF, FV, First Trust, Dorsey Wright, technology link. I put tech stocks on there. And you can see what it's doing here. Daily on the left, and again, weekly on the left, daily on the right. And you can see there's some distribution here, and now it's below the 50-day moving average line. The 50-day is still rising, okay? But we need to start seeing it push back above. For years, I taught at the IBD meetups, and I always used to tell the people there, the attendees, the air is better above a rising 50-day moving average line. So we need to start seeing some power. Till that happens, tells you to be cautious. And that's important to know. It's good to know what to do, both on buying and also on selling, and on things to maybe wait on. There we go. Let's continue onwards. Here we are. Gold miners. Gold miners has been trending nicely here. As you can see, GDX is the ticker symbol. But look what it did on Friday. It gaps up, it runs up, and it reverses down on a pickup in volume. They're selling there. Now, it's not the end of the trend. I'm not going to say that. Well, we don't know the future. But the trend is up. It's just that there was some serious selling there. There's another moral to this story. When things get extended from a base breakout on the weekly right here, when they get extended, be careful chasing price. Try to buy close to the pivot price, the breakout price. Don't chase price. It's too aggressive, too risky. Nothing to do with it at this point in time, but a little bit of pressure on the gold miners. Let's move on here. GLD, a little bit of pressure on gold. We own this GLD down here, and it's been a great run, And what have we done? We sold some into strength several times. Guaranteed profits, especially, and this is a great lesson for everybody. Again, it gaps up, it runs up, reverses and takes out the open and starts to fall. Volume's fairly heavy. Sell some. It works. The trend is still up, but we've locked some good profits in, and now we'll watch and see what happens. I want it to stay above the rising ADMA. All right, just a little heads up for you. Look at this, biotechnology. What does this tell you? And it's told you for a long time, stay away from biotech. We don't have to overthink it like, well, maybe this is the bounce. No, it'll tell you, but right now it's sloppy. Just leave it alone, and it's been sloppy for a while. Very important lesson we teach in Mission Winners. Study price and volume, all right? Look at this, it's going up. Oh, look, it fell. And then it fell harder on a pickup in volume. Heaviest volume on the advance. And then it kind of goes sideways, and then it falls again on a pickup in volume. Then it kind of goes sideways, and then it starts falling, not on heavy volume, but it's just falling. It's below the 50-day. That's the green line. I said this for years. The air is better above the 50-day, a rising 50-day. Not much to do with it now. Be cautious. Continue onwards. Oil and gas is hanging in. IEO, look at the base there, right there, and a nice trend, walking up the 8 EMA. I'm not saying buy it now, but back here when it was lifting off and on the daily also, you could look and say, gosh, is there any oil and gas stocks, or could I buy this ETF? There you go. That's why we look at the ETFs. Let's continue. Nothing to do with it now. It's a little too extended and the market's sloppy. Be careful. Continue onward. Software technology. Look at this thing just chopping around. No conviction. Goes up, they take it down. It goes up, they take it down. And then selling in here. Be cautious with this, and it's below the falling 50-day. Please be careful with that. And software technology stocks. Continue onwards. Medicine. I think they need a shot. Okay, that's called dad humor. My kids would just shake their heads. But you can see it's lost the 50-day. Volume wasn't heavy. Okay, that's the one plus. But it needs to get it back above the rising 50-day. Until then, we have the discipline to wait. Aerospace and defense, right on the rising 50-day. But there's some distribution here on the daily. And this is why we look at weekly charts. Look at the selling volume on the weekly. What's the theme so far? They're selling across almost all the sectors. What does that say? Be cautious. That's all. It's that simple. Home construction has been a great run for us, okay? Let's drop down here, gap down, and look at the volume on that bar, okay? It's a little bit below the 50-day. On the way up, what were we doing? Yeah, selling into strength. Right here, nothing to do with it. Just sit tight. We're out. Just got to wait. Let's move on. By the way, that's true for home building stocks too, not just the ETF. Growth, S&P 500 growth. Now this is interesting. I just showed you a bunch of ETFs, industry sectors, that have lost the 50-day. This one is still above the 50-day. Okay? In fact, it's a little, well, it's right on the 21-day. And here's the weekly chart resting on the ADMA. Note there is some selling volume coming into it. Be careful. The M in mission winners is the market. It's the first letter, mission, right? Comes first for a reason, the markets. And this is just something I encourage all of you to own. Please don't argue with the markets. All right, too risky. The market's bigger than all of us. This is still basing nicely up here. It hasn't rolled over yet, but we need to see some power taking out these tops. If it does, it says, oh, maybe we could look into some S&P 500 growth stocks. Let's continue, or that ETF. IWM, look at what it's doing. It's just rolling over. It's been telling, look at that, gaps down on a pickup in volume, reverses down on a pickup in volume, gaps down on a pickup in volume. It's been telling you, hey, I'm in distribution here, okay? They're not buying me. They're not buying small cap stocks. Be careful. And that's why we've avoided them. There you go. And here's the beautiful part again. We're not forecasting. We're letting the chart, price and volume action tell us what to do. Continue onwards, real estate. Look at the weekly. That's not so good. Then you look at the daily, you say, tells me to stay away from real estate. There you go. By the way, what's going on? Interest rates are rising. Real estate markets don't like rising interest rates, and you know why. All right, for financing. So just be cautious with the real estate. Transports has lost the 50-day right here. Heavy selling on that bar. Until it gets back above the 50-day or shows some strength down here with a higher low setup, avoid transportation stocks. Here we go. Airlines. They've been doing fairly well. All right. Now it's kind of dropping down here, and you can see there's some distribution coming into it. There we go. Oh, by the way, for everybody, this is the 50-day moving average. This is the 21 exponential, and the yellow line is the 8-period exponential, weekly and daily. I love this template. I developed this many years ago. Side by side, it helps us see strength or weakness much better. It helps us ride trends much better. And it also tells us when to stay away, like right here. I mean, that's just downright wicked. That whole period, you think we were involved in any airline stocks? No way. Nope, they were grounded. Okay, that's dad humor. We're moving on. MDY, mid-cap, still trending weekly, but a little bit of selling pressure here and here. Look at that. Now, here's why we have weekly and daily. You say, I see some selling here, you know, yeah, a little bit of selling, but then you look at the weekly, it's more pronounced. It helps us see things better. Again, weekly on the left, daily on the right. Needs to find support here on the 50-day exponential, or excuse me, 50-day simple. Until then, be cautious with mid-cap stocks. Oil services has trended nicely and trended nicely on the daily. This right here is a bearish engulfing bar. The range on this bar is greater than the range on this bar, and it closed down. That's why it's bearish. It's engulfing because it engulfed the range of this bar, and it did it on a pickup in volume. Now, it's still trending up, but there was some selling there. Be careful with oil services. That's the point. Pharmaceuticals, they need drugs, okay? I mean, that's just, leave it alone. There's nothing to do with it. And it's been telling you, hey, you might want to stay away from me. That's why we do this at Mission Winners. I do this a couple times a day, and it helps me instantly see themes. Bitcoin, this is on here as a courtesy. You can see it's chopping around here a little bit. Be careful with this. You know, it gaps down, it gaps up, it gaps down, it gaps up, reverses the next day. Just be a little careful with this. It is basing here, but there's not a lot of accumulation in it recently, just for what it's worth. And again, I said a very important word, gap. Price gaps. Oh, they're great on the way up, but they're not so good on the way down. All right? Be aware of that. It's basing, just know that it's a little riskier. NASDAQ 100, QLD, had a nice trend here. Now it's just a little bit choppy. And look at the distribution bars. The color coding's awesome, folks. Oh, I need to share this with you too. There's a lot of research on these templates. A black background with these colors is a much higher resolution than any other mixture that I have seen. Do this, I encourage you, to protect your eyes, all right? This is a vision business combined with mental, but take care of your eyes, all right? Let's move on. I could tell you horror stories there. Okay, QQQ, and you can say, what do you mean? Years ago, yeah, I had a head concussion and went blind for a couple of hours, and I still remember it. You ever had a paper cut on your finger? I had a paper cut on my cornea. Yeah, that wasn't good. That was another visit to the hospital. Woo! Okay, here we go. QQQ, just like QLD, it's just basing right here, but it needs to show some power. And if you look at the daily, and I said, are there more red bars or green bars? You go, oh, the red bars are a little bit bigger. What does that tell us? In 1 second, 2 seconds, it says, be a little careful with NASDAQ 100. Done. Needs to show some power. Until it does, be cautious. Retailing, rolling over. Lost the 50-day. Needs to start getting it back above the 50-day. Until it does, stay away. Done. Silver, a defensive play. Broke out here. We own gold, okay? And silver had a good run too. But look what it did here on Friday. Gaps up and closes down on a pickup in volume. That's selling. That's institutional selling. 117 million shares on this bar. Be cautious with it. The trend is still up, but let it form some semblance of a base or entry pattern. At this time, I just be real cautious with it. Steel rolled over, same situation, nothing to do with it. SMH is still basing, but it needs to show power above this line here. And I'll do something as a courtesy. I'll take this off, and I'll show you this. There you go. Nothing fancy, just a simple baseline. It needs to push through there. But if you look closely, is there much distribution or accumulation recently on the daily? No, there's not. You can see it on the weekly too. Needs to start showing some power. Till then, be cautious. Spiders rolling down here a little bit. And I pointed this out to the members. Oh, look, there's distribution here. There was distribution here. There was distribution here. And here. And here. And here, although this bar closed pretty good. The next bar lifted up a little bit, but on less volume. Right here, so not a lot of power. And the next bar gaps up and reverses down. Look at that. This is where it opened, and this is where it closed on a pickup in volume. What does that tell us? It's met with selling. What's it saying? Be cautious. Oh, by the way, please don't think, oh, I'm Mr. Bear and everything. No, I'm just saying at this time, there's not a lot of great opportunity in the markets. Could it change this week? Sure. Will we be ready? Yes. Do we have a lot of baggage that's dogging us now? No. Why? Because we follow the rules, the tactics, and don't argue with price. Continue onward. SSO, same situation, rolling down a bit. Needs to show some power off the 50-day. Be careful. Solar. Look at the weekly. I mean, that just tells you. It's said it for months. In fact, it's been saying it for over a year. This thing started to get toppy last March. Okay? And it was telling you, hey, stay away from me. Did we? Yes. We haven't been involved in solar since back in here. Continue onwards. Small caps, rolling down just like IWM, be careful. Oil, energy, rallied up, tailed off. This is one of the better looking ones. It'd be nice if this could form a base and then take off. But remember this, it's going to need a good market too. All right? Just be aware of this. Continue onwards. Consumer discretionary, not much power there. Be careful with consumer stocks. Continue onwards. Aerospace and defense. What does that tell you? Stay away. Stay away for right now. Biotechnology, stay away. I mean, look at the weekly, then look at the daily. And you know, well, maybe this is the bounce spot. Maybe this is the bounce spot. It will tell you. And there's another very important investing maxim. Strive to focus on stuff that is above the rising 50-day. You may miss the bottom, but you'll increase your potential for making money. The air is better above a rising 50-day moving average line. Here we go. Home builders dropping down. As you can see, support on the 50-day, but it needs to see some bounce. Very sensitive to interest rates movements. How do you build houses? You need materials. It's starting to drop down here a little bit too. It's a little bit stronger, but no, there's some selling pressures. Just be a little cautious there. Continue onward. Communications, now that one's hanging in okay, all right? But notice there's some distribution across here. You can see it on the daily. Look at the red volume bars versus the green. And then you look over here, there's some selling here and here. This is a decent bar. It needs to get a lift over these tops here. And it needs to have a good market, and it needs to do it with volume. XLE energy has been strong, but notice a bearish engulfing bar here. Market pressure eventually hits almost all of them. Trend is still up though, okay? But just be a little cautious at this point in time. If you own it, you can sell some into strength. There we go. XLF financials. Dropping on increasing volume. That's not a good sign for the market, okay? Industrial's still hanging in, but look at the distribution. Look at the red bars. There's just not a lot of power here. Be cautious with industrial stocks. Technology, just sloppy. I mean, it's still basing up here, but you can see, oh, look, it goes up. Oh, they take it down. Oh, look, it goes up. Oh, it reverses down. Oh, look, it goes up and gaps down. Oh, look, it goes up, gaps up, and closes near the lows. There's distribution going on here. You can see it on the daily, but look at the red volume bars on the weekly and the red price bars. At this time, it's just saying, be careful with technology. Done. Let's move on here. Consumer staples, nope, leave it alone. Nothing to do with it. It's below the 50-day. Look at the red selling bars. Done. Don't have to overthink it. Healthcare. Ooh, I think they need healthcare. Look at that drop. I mean, that's a hard drop there. Look at the selling volume. Look at the volume on the weekly. They're selling it. There's nothing to do. Okay. The healthcare sector. Be cautious with it at this point in time. Consumer discretionary below the 50-day. There's no real power there. Metals and mining. Yeah, that still looks decent. But notice here, it gapped up, ran up, and reversed down on the weekly. And you've got some distribution here, although it didn't close that bad. But then you've got distribution here. A little sloppy here. One of the better looking ones, but there's no real clean entry on it, just for what it's worth. We're about done here. Oil and gas is hanging in, energy, but some selling just recently. Okay, don't chase it. Retailing has, it's below the 50-day. I'll share this again. The air is better above a rising 50-day moving average line. There's no power there. Be careful with retailing. Software, look at that. And it's real gappy. Okay, there's not a lot of conviction. This is why we study and we teach reading the charts. And it's not fancy. Oh, look, it's going up. Oh, it reversed down. Oh, look, it's going up. Oh, they took it down. Oh, look, it went up and reversed down. Oh, look, it went up and it reversed down. Oh, it runs up, reversal bar drops. Runs up, gaps down the next day. What's it telling you? There's sellers up there. That's all. That's all. I need to pause here and share something. Please don't think I'm Mr. Bear. No way. I'm just saying at this time there's not a lot of opportunity. Could it change? Of course. Bull markets haven't been outlawed. Please, it's not like the end of the world here, but we're just getting in line with what's going on. And we don't argue with it. That's all. It helps us. Makes it easy. IBD 50, this one's lagging a little bit. It's below the 50-day. IBD 50 is a good proxy. Not a lot of leadership there. Financials, nothing there. MAXLIST stocks, weekly on the left and daily on the right. And Apple's picking up a little bit on a pickup in volume. It's really a lot of selling been going on in this. This has dramatically underperformed the markets, okay? Now, some buying here, but the market is rough. What would be the best thing to do? If this could base for a couple bars, because it took quite a bit just to get up here, all right? Base for a couple of bars and then lift off in a good market, But you can see right here, it lifted over the 50-day and backed a little bit off of it. Good volume on the weekly, but again, tremendous amount of overhead supply. Just something to be aware of, okay? Continue onwards. By the way, we sort this by alphabetically, just to let you know. Amazon has been a good run for us. And it's working. It's trending. Note the trend up the 8 EMA. We love that. Note the trend up the 21 EMA. We love that. Look at that, the 8 weekly. I mean, isn't that nice? We sold some, we're just going to let it work and see what it can do. All right? Is there a good buy spot here? Not at this point in time, but maybe in a couple of days, there will be. Till then, we just got to wait. Alibaba, nothing. I mean, do a compare and contrast. Here's the weekly Amazon, steadily trending up. Here's Alibaba, nothing. Just leave it alone. I mean, look at that. And then look at the daily. This is an important lesson. When you see something lifting up and then they gap it right back down, ooh, be careful. And if they do it again, be really careful. And if they do it again, it's under distribution. You can see it in the charts. Just leave it alone. Look for better material. Move on. BIDU, same situation. Nothing good there, leave it alone. Google started to lift up, okay, and then it tailed off here a bit. We owned this, but given what the market was doing, we locked it in, and we'll just watch this now and see what happens. It's one of the better looking ones, though. Okay, it's one of the better looking ones, but note, runs up, and reverses down. This was a good bar. This is why we owned it down in here, all right? But right now, there's just not too much to do with it. Just watch and see what happens, all right, on Google. One of the better looking MAXLIST stocks, all right? Goldman Sachs, nope, nothing there. Nothing. Just forget it. It's dropping on increasing volume. It's below the 50-day. I said this at the meetups for years. The air is better above the rising 50-day moving average line. There we go. Let's move on. Intel, no. Look at the weekly, look at the daily, below the falling 50-day, leave it alone. There's something really good about doing it this way, by the way. Things to consider, but also things to say, to avoid. That's why I teach this. This is why I taught this for years at the IBD meetups. It's why I've taught it for years in Mission Winners. What to look for to potentially buy, and red flags, things to avoid. And look, MasterCard's falling. Look at the selling volume on the weekly. Look at the selling volume on the daily. It's just telling you at this time, stay away from me. That's it. Meta has been buys here, here, here. Meta has been, look at the trend here. That's powerful, folks. And it's still working. Have we sold some into strength? Yes, we have. Now we'll watch it. See where I have the lower price alert? If it starts to lose these lows here, maybe we'll sell some more. There we go. Let's move on. Oh, by the way, as far as buying, if it starts to lift above these highs here with good volume, we may buy more, okay? If the market's okay. Till then, we sit tight. Let's continue onwards. Here we go. Microsoft runs up. Look, there's a runs up and they take it down. Runs up and they take it down. Runs up and they take it down. Runs up, gaps down the next day. There's a seller up there. It needs to take that out. The base doesn't look too bad on the weekly, okay? But it needs to take out this lines up here. By the way, yes, are we prepared? Yeah, I already have a price alert on it, folks. Look, see the little green hash mark? Yeah, we're set for next week. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. But we just showed some charts that look pretty ugly. This one's hanging in on the weekly and the daily. So we'll see what goes. And don't, I'll share this, please don't impose your will on the stocks. Please, I'm asking, let price and volume tell you what to do. Netflix is just basing right here. It's very constructive. We own this from lower, and it's been a nice move for us. We've sold some into strength. Is there anything to do with it at this point in time? Just kind of chopping around here. There's not a lot of distribution or accumulation in it. There's not a lot of distribution. It's just going sideways. And that's good, because if this thing starts to lift off, if the market starts to lift off, this will probably be one of the first ones to go up. I'm not saying it's going to happen unless the market's good, but we'll watch it and see. We already have price alerts set. We're in it. Like to buy more if it presents itself. Continue onwards. NVIDIA, I drew this. See that weekly base breakout? We made videos on this before it broke out, not after the fact, before it broke out, saying, this is really a good base. This is something I'd watch. And yeah, plowed into it. You call it right in here. Say 515 up to a high of 970. Now, am I going to say, oh, we sold at the top? No, that's an ego deal. But we get what we can. We sold some into strength. We're in good shape. We'll just watch this and see what happens, okay? And also, the M and Mission Winners, the market. If the market's sloppy, just have the discipline to wait, A lot of people, I've been doing this a long time. A lot of people have this mindset that, oh, we're professionals. We're always doing things. You know what good professionals are doing? They're controlling risk. At times, it's doing nothing, just watching. So, but we're always prepared. There we go. Let's move on here. By the way, I do like this base here, lifting off here. See, I already have a price alert set. I'll drop it down here a little bit. There you go. Could this lift off? Sure. Lift off with good volume? That could be a potential buy. Let's continue onwards. Tesla, there's nothing there. There's just no real power there. It's like, oh, it's going up, it's going up. Here's a valuable lesson for everybody. And I taught this for years. Remember this. Just because it's a green bar doesn't mean it's a good bar. Do you see this bar right here? It gapped up, it ran up, and closed near the lows on a pickup in volume. It was met with selling, not buying. Be cautious with that. Another important lesson for everybody. Don't have your bars spread out so wide that you can't see really what's going on in the pattern. Squeeze them together, but don't squeeze them together so tight you don't have the nuances of what's going on. Find that healthy level spacing that works for you. I just wanted to share that with you. Let's continue onwards. Visa, nothing. There's nothing here. It's dropping. Look at the volume on the selling on the week. There's just nothing at this point in time. Leave it alone.
Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like. Maybe hit that subscribe button. We come up with new content nearly every day. Also, check out the videos on the right. YouTube recommends the one on the top, and the bottom one is something we thought you might enjoy. See you next time.